Good afternoon, readers. Today, we are going to talk about text structure in expository nonfiction. If you haven't already done so, get out your reading, learning intention sheet and write down, today as a reader, I am working on identifying the text structure used in expository nonfiction. Readers, remember that expository nonfiction is nonfiction that is a presentation of facts. It is not written as a story. So we're going to talk about the way that it is structured so that we can identify that structure and so we can know what the author is trying to communicate with us. When we identify the text structure, we understand more thoroughly what the author is trying to tell us. So, to do this, we are going to take a look at Dolphins by Seymour Simon. Before we do that, let's look at this expository nonfiction chart. So, at the top it says, expository nonfiction authors use specific structures to teach about a topic. Paying attention to these structures helps us learn about the topic. There are 5 different structures that authors use for expository nonfiction. There is compare and contrast, which right here is just labeled comparison. There's cause and effect, problem solution. There's chronological order, that means in going in time order, and question and answer. So it asks a question and then answers that question. To help us identify which text structure is used, there are key phrases. So if we're looking at an article or a book that is compare and contrast, you might see words like just like, alike, both, or different than. If we're looking at a text that is structured with a cause and effect, you might see things like as a result, because of, this brought about, the effect of this was, this changed, or therefore. If we're reading a text that has a problem and a solution, we might see the words like threat, challenge, obstacle, problem, resolution, or overcome. If we're looking at something in chronological order or time order, we might see words like first, second, next, last, afterwards, or years later. And of course, with question and answer, we would see things like who, what, when, where, why, and how. Together, we're going to fill in this example side. So we're going to come up with some examples to fill in this chart. Let's take a look at Seymour Simon's Dolphins book. I'm going to read. You're going to listen and decide how this text is structured. Be thinking about those key phrases as I read. What's the difference between a dolphin and a porpoise? Not that much. Dolphins and porpoises look and act very much alike. Both have streamlined bodies, tail flukes, and blowholes. Porpoises are usually smaller and rarely longer than 7 feet in length. Most dolphins are not longer than 10 feet. Perhaps the best way to tell dolphins and porpoises apart is by their heads and bodies. Porpoises have smaller heads and lack a beak or snout. The top or dorsal fin on a porpoise is triangular, like the dorsal fin of a shark. The dorsal fin of a dolphin is rounded like a wave. A porpoise's teeth are spade-shaped, while a dolphin's teeth are cone-shaped. Dolphins have lean, streamlined bodies. Porpoises often look chubby or chunky by comparison. Porpoises are rarely seen on the surface of the water. Dolphins often swim on or just below the surface, riding the bow waves of fishing boats. Dolphins also show less fear of humans than porpoises do. Turn and talk with your partner right now about which of these text structures fit this text. Readers, when I initially looked at this text, I was thinking that it might be question and answer because it starts with a question. But as I read further, I realized that it is compare and contrast. I saw that the author used words like both and different than. Readers, let's take a look at the text so I can show you where those key phrases are, or words are. Right here it says both have, so there's the word both. And then in our question it talks about a difference right at the top of the page. All right, boys and girls, now you're going to do it with the article polar problem. Let's take a look at your article right now and we'll read it together, remembering that we have certain key phrases that we are looking for to figure out what the text structure is. Polar problem. A new report says that polar bears are in danger of dying out within the next 100 years. Why? They are not getting enough to eat in the winter. On thin ice, polar bears travel over sea ice to hunt the food. The problem is that this sea ice is now melting earlier in the year than it used to. Polar bears mostly eat seals that swim in the frigid or very cold seas. The bears stand on pieces of sea ice to be near the seals. When the seals pop up out of the water to breathe, the bears catch them. With the ice melting earlier now, polar bears are having trouble getting to the seals. The bears are not eating enough and are getting weaker and thinner. In Canada, some polar bears come onto land as they search for meals and annoy or bother humans. Weather worries. Experts say global warming is the reason for the ice melting earlier. This is a worldwide rise in temperature. Scientists can't agree on what causes global warming. Some say it just happens naturally. Others say it is caused when people pollute the air by burning fuel. People burn fuel every time they drive cars or use electricity, so saving electricity might be the way to help a polar bear. All right, readers, I'd like you to take a look at your article as well as our key phrases, and I want you to turn and talk to your reading partner about how this text is structured. Readers, today as you read, you are going to use the expository nonfiction chart to decide how the text that you're reading is structured. You will stop and jot about this on a sticky note or in your reading binder. Use the key phrases to help you identify the way the text is structured. After you've done that, think about why the author chose to structure the text in that way. Add this to your stop and jot. Let's make it a great day.